The man who chaired the committee was Tiger Woods. The man who introduced the plan was Brian Rolapp. And yet, the reigning Masters champion, the greatest player in golf history, and a committee insider who attended every single meeting have all signaled they are not fully on board with what the PGA Tour just built. On June 23, 2026, at the Travelers Championship in Cromwell, Connecticut, Brian Rolapp stood next to Tiger Woods and unveiled the most radical restructuring in PGA Tour history. This is not a simple schedule tweak. It introduces promotion and relegation to professional golf for the first time, and it removes a sponsor benefit that has been written into tour contracts for decades. Within days, 3 of the most respected names in the sport had pushed back, and one of them was in the room and still would not vote yes. If you watch every round and not just the majors, subscribe, because this channel breaks down what is actually happening behind the headlines. Let us start with the announcement itself. The new model was approved on Monday, June 22nd, by both the PGA Tour Policy Board and the PGA Tour Enterprises Board during meetings in West Hartford. It was then announced publicly on Tuesday, June 23rd, by CEO Brian Rolapp at the Travelers Championship. Tiger Woods chaired the 9-member Future Competition Committee and personally introduced Rolapp. This was Woods' first public appearance since a March DUI arrest and treatment abroad, and his credibility is the legitimacy engine for the entire plan. In a separate piece of news, Rolapp was confirmed as the tour's next commissioner starting in January 2027, taking over from Jay Monahan, who is ending a 10-year tenure. Rolapp described the goal of the project in clear terms. At its core, this work was driven by a simple objective: to build the best version of the PGA Tour, something that could endure and outlive us all, Rolapp said. So how does the new system actually work? Beginning in 2028, the PGA Tour splits into 2 separate worlds. At the top sits the Championship Series. It features roughly 23 to 24 events per season, including the 4 majors, the Players' Championship, the season-ending events, and the Ryder Cup or President's Cup. 16 of these will be signature-style events played as 72-hole stroke play tournaments, with a 36-hole cut to the top 65 in ties, and fields of about 120 players. Every single stop carries a minimum purse of $20 million. The season runs from February to August, deliberately avoiding the football season. And here is a major change. There are no sponsor exemptions, no alternate list, and no Monday qualifying. If you are a member of the Championship Series, you have earned your place in every event for the entire season. Below that sits the Challenger Series. This is the second tier. It will have a minimum of 20 events, with 144 player fields, 72 holes, a halfway cut, and minimum purses of $4 million, which is 4 times the average purse on the Korn Ferry Tour. About 7 of those events will run on Championship Series off weeks with elevated points and stakes. The Challenger Series is the pathway up, and it is also the landing spot for relegated players. Now to the headline mechanic: promotion and relegation. At minimum, the top 90 players on the Championship Series points list retain their status for the following season. Around 20 players are promoted from the Challenger Series each year, based on the top 20 of its points list. The remaining 10 or so spots go to exemption categories that are still being finalized, including tournament winners, medical extensions, and career milestones. There are also 2 fast routes upward. 2 Challenger Series wins in a season earn immediate promotion, and a non-member who wins a major also earns immediate promotion. For players who fall short, there is a last chance series of 4 to 6 fall events, offering a limited number of Championship Series spots to relegated players, Challenger Series players, and others. Importantly, players compete in one series or the other, not both. The Q School and the developmental pathways, including the Korn Ferry Tour, PGA Tour Americas, and PGA Tour University, all continue. Think of it like a Premier League club dropping into the Championship division. but it is important to understand this is demotion, not suspension. Elite players with major championship experience could, in theory, end up competing for $4 million purses against players they have never worried about before. On the player counts, sources vary between roughly 120 and 130 for the top tier. The tour has already identified 10 of its 15 regular season championship series events, with Pebble Beach, Genesis, Bay Hill, RBC Heritage, Cadillac, Truist, the Memorial, and the Travelers all expected to remain. 5 spots are still open, with targeted markets including Boston, Denver, New York, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Seattle, and Washington, D.C. This brings us to the conflict, and it begins with the players. 3 respected voices have offered 3 different flavors of skepticism, and the timeline matters here. Start with Rory McIlroy, who delivered the loudest verdict. His harshest lines actually came before the official announcement during US Open week on June 16th, reacting to the proposed model. Track 2 is a glorified Corn Ferry event, McIlroy said. That's what Track 2 is going to be. He also delivered a warning about the money involved. I just think there's going to be certain events that might lose their stature if a sponsor doesn't pony up $30 million. So that's the tough thing, McIlroy continued. Then came the reflection that stopped the golf world. It's funny. They've done all this work, and you start to realize that the way the tour was before LIV came along was actually pretty good, McIlroy said. It was a pretty good structure and everything sort of worked pretty well. He argued that LIV created a false economy that forced prize funds up and fields down. He was also candid about his own position. I'm not in those rooms, McIlroy said. After the June 23rd announcement, however, Rory McIlroy publicly softened his position and issued a statement. Today's announcement is a positive step for professional golf, McIlroy said. As more details emerge, it is encouraging to see the PGA Tour reaffirming the importance of meritocracy and creating a structure that will serve both players and fans well into the future. Rolapp confirmed he had spoken with McIlroy and pushed back. On the comparison, we think we've just organized the same tour into a much more interesting and competitive system, Rolapp said. He noted the tour would still serve roughly the same 230 players across the same number of events, just organized differently, at venues fans recognize. The honest framing is not that McIlroy is revolting against the final plan. The more interesting story is the tension. The sport's biggest active star torched the concept a week before his own tour formalized it, then publicly endorsed it. The second voice is Patrick Cantlay, and his silence may say the most. Cantlay sits on the policy board, the enterprises board, and the future competition committee, meaning he was in every room for 9 months. When the vote happened, Cantlay was the only board member to abstain. His comments afterward, following an opening 65 at the Travelers, were notably veiled. First of all, I'm grateful to everyone on the committee and all the player directors for all the hard work they put in over the past many months. And I'm excited about the future of the tour, and I think it's in a good spot. And I know all the hard work hopefully pays off, Cantlay said. Notice that he never actually said he liked the new format. He was not directly asked why he abstained, so it remains read between the lines territory. Some have wondered whether, based on his recent form, Cantlay sits near the promotion and relegation line, meaning he may have helped design a system that could one day demote him. That angle is speculation, not confirmed fact, but it is part of why the abstention has drawn so much attention. The third voice carries generational weight, Jack Nicklaus. At his own memorial tournament in early June, the 18-time major champion was blunt. I don't want to comment on the tour's schedule because I'm not exactly in favor of what they're doing right now, Nicklaus said. His concern is not relegation. It is schedule compression, meaning too many big events packed too close together. He pointed to the Cognizant Classic as an example, an event squeezed between Pebble Beach, Bay Hill, and the Players. What chance does that tournament have? They don't have a chance, Nicklaus said. His deeper worry is that players cannot bring their best week after week. Nicklaus said he capped himself at around 3 weeks in a row, and that compression risks injury and diluted quality. He framed his criticism as wanting to protect the traditions of the game, not to block change for its own sake. Now to the commercial undercurrent, which is where the framing must stay careful. The number that anchors everything is $30 million. The figure Rory McIlroy suggested some events may need from a sponsor to stay relevant. There is a fair counterpoint. Tour Chief Commercial Officer Dhruv Prasad told reporters that pricing will be market-by-market dependent and argued there may actually be more opportunities for sponsors, including potential naming rights for the Championship Series and Challenger Series themselves. Then there is the sponsor that is genuinely leaving. In January 2026, it was confirmed that 2026 would be Farmers Insurance's last year as title sponsor at Torrey Pines, after 17 years. The crucial nuance is that this exit was in motion since around 2024, so it is not a reaction to the June restructuring. Sentry stepped in for the Torrey Pines slot, but partly because Sentry's own Maui event was disrupted, making it a displaced sponsor finding a home, rather than the result of a bidding war. The biggest uncertainty, however, is FedEx. FedEx has been the title sponsor of the FedEx Cup and the playoffs since 2007, and its contract expires after 2027, right in the transition window. The June 23rd announcement made no mention of FedEx, and Rolapp declined to confirm a commitment to the new structure. Our hope is to create more value for FedEx and everybody else. We're in an existing contract, and we're going to honor that, Rolapp said. Adding to the uncertainty, FedEx founder Fred Smith died in June 2025. The St. Jude Championship in Memphis is locked through 2027. But beyond that, everything is open. This is the legitimate domino everyone is watching, but it is uncertainty, not a confirmed departure. 2 more events are doing the math quietly. Valspar and John Deere are both candidates to land in the Challenger Series, which would mean a purse drop from $20 to $4 million. Their tournament representatives gave non-committal wait-and-see responses, which reads as caution rather than panic. The broader picture is that 5 events had sponsorships expiring after 2026, including Farmers at Torrey, Sony at Wailea, Genesis at Riviera, Schwab at Colonial, and Wyndham at Sedgefield. Many were unresolved while the new model was still being finalized, meaning sponsors were essentially being asked to buy a product that did not yet have final specifications. The honest framing is that sponsors face new math and genuine uncertainty, not that they are walking out in a coordinated revolt. Here lies the central irony. The committee was player-built. It included Tiger Woods as chair, plus Adam Scott, Keith Mitchell, Maverick McNeely, Patrick Cantlay, and Camilo Villegas, along with advisors Joe Gorder, John Henry, and Theo Epstein. Yet the loudest skeptics are a who's who of the sport, the reigning Masters champion before the announcement, the greatest player in history, and a committee insider who abstained. There are supportive voices for balance. Maverick McNeely noted fans will know where to find the best competition. In some ways, it's a big change, but in other ways, it's going to be the PGA Tour you know and love. McNeely said. Colin Morikawa highlighted that everyone gets an equal shot to prove they are the best, and Keegan Bradley described the new format as extremely competitive with extreme consequences. The honest take is this: the ideas behind the system are defensible. Meritocracy makes sense. Removing sponsor exemptions is defensible. And simplifying the schedule helps fans. The real risk is sequencing, which means rolling out a relegation model before locking the biggest financial partners, especially FedEx, into the new world. 5 championship series spots, multiple sponsorships, and the FedEx Cup naming deal all sit unresolved, heading into a system that launches in 2028, with 2027 serving as the transition year. That leaves one open question. Can the tour lock in its financial backbone before 2028, or is the uncertainty itself the real problem? Do you think the tour can pull this off, or did they announce the format before they were ready? Drop your take below, especially if you believe Patrick Cantlay's abstention means something. And because the FedEx decision could move all of this, subscribe so you are here when it breaks.